G'day there guys, it's Connie here again and we are back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe and also the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Alrighty, let's get right into it. Alrighty folks, we're on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Signature This and it's titled, Am I the A-hole for not inviting my fiance's ex to our wedding? Throwaway account. I, female 26, have been with Henry, male 36 almost 37, for 5 years. We are engaged and currently planning our wedding. A little background. Henry is the youngest child and his mother really wanted a girl. Because of this, Henry grew up feeling despised by his mum, who openly says hurtful things like how he was a disappointment from the start or how she never got the daughter she wanted. Despite this, instead of going no contact with her, Henry has been trying very hard to win her love. Henry had a long-term ex, 32, who was very close with his mother. She became the daughter his mother always wanted. However, this ex cheated on him with a co-worker and left him. After 2 years, Henry and I met. Eventually, the ex wanted to get back together with him, but he said no and blocked her. Despite this, she and his mother remain best friends. His mother still invites her to family functions, and my fiancé and I just ignore her. His mother doesn't like me and believes I'm the reason she can't have her preferred daughter-in-law. My fiancé has explained many times that he would rather stay single forever than get back with his ex, so even if I didn't exist, he wouldn't be with her. Yesterday, my mother-in-law asked how many guests she could invite to our wedding. I told her that since my parents could invite 8 to 10 people, she could do the same. She thanked me, but an hour later she smiled and said, "Well, we have 1 yes already," referring to my fiancé's ex. I told her that was very inappropriate since we aren't even friends with her. She responded by saying it's her guest list and none of my business. Then she said I'm insecure because the ex is the whole package and that I'm just a rebound girl. Henry told his mum to stop and asked her to leave. Once she left, he asked if I could be the bigger person and let her have this, as he really wants his mum to be at the wedding. He suggested that if inviting his ex would keep his mum quiet, we should just ignore her. Am I the a-hole for not wanting her there? P.S. We are mostly paying for the wedding ourselves, with some help from my dad. Mother-in-law hasn't contributed. Additional information on the future mother-in-law and the ex-girlfriend's relationship. She calls her the daughter I always wanted. They do spa days together, hang out all the time. She worships the ground she walks on. On the other hand, my fiancé and I are either criticised constantly or just ignored. His brother's wife usually talks to me during the family gatherings. Last time his brother's wife complimented my baking and asked me for the recipe for the dessert I made. I told her that it's my mum's recipe and I'll take a picture and send it to her the next time I'm at her place. Mother-in-law laughed and yelled, "So your mummy made it and you took credit? Surprise, surprise, little girl." I told her no, my mum has the original recipe. I don't want to say by heart and forget something. My mum is on a trip now, how could she make this? Mother-in-law and ex laughed and made jokes about it all night. Henry told me to just let it go, that's just who she is when she drinks. And she does have on and off boyfriends. Every time she breaks up with a guy, mother-in-law comments how she's too good for that guy, she can do better. Yes, mother-in-law and her call me little girl, which really bothers me. She is tall and athletic. I'm short and petite, 5'3", 115 pounds, and my whole life people made fun of me for being little. Henry thinks it's a joke because I'm younger and his ex is insecure. I told him I don't care what the reason is, I hate being called a little girl. She has blonde hair and blue eyes, just like mother-in-law. I have dark hair and eyes. She constantly also compliments how gorgeous she is, or how if Henry and her got married their kids would be gorgeous, as both parents would have blue eyes. Nah man, this sounds exhausting. Honestly, the husband needs to step up and shut this crap out. And also, what the hell does the mother-in-law mean by it's my guest list? No, it's her wedding. She gets to veto whoever she wants. Let's go to some comments. Not the a-hole. Your fiancé is a big ass. If you marry him, this will be your future unless he grows a set. You will be third after his mum and the ex. Is this how you want to live? I mean, you could go a couple of ways with this. 1. Disinvite mother-in-law and her entire guest list. 2. Ask fiancé to get a spine because no way are you having his cheating ex at your wedding. And 3. Let the ex come to the wedding but thank her during your speech for cheating on your now husband because without her being a cheating tramp, you would have never met your husband. I would choose 3, but I'm a petty a-hole. Not the a-hole. Dearest fiancé, I think we need to postpone the wedding indefinitely. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, but I'm not going to spend the rest of my life being treated like crap by your mother for simply not being your ex. I would never tell you to choose between me and your family, but at the same time, the way your mother treats me is not acceptable, and the fact you would tell me to simply take her disrespect on what should be the happiest day of my life makes me think you're not the man I believed you to be. I'll be sending out announcements that the wedding is being postponed indefinitely. I suggest you spend the next couple of weeks to really decide what it is you want out of life, because I'm not going to be disrespected by your mum for the rest of mine. So if you're not going to handle this once and for all and hold your mother accountable for her actions, then perhaps we should just go our separate ways. Not the a-hole. Okie dokie, on to an update. Thank you so much for the comments and DMs. I had a calm talk with Henry and explained how I feel disrespected by his mum's words and actions. While I can't control who she associates with, it is very disrespectful that she invites your ex to all the gatherings and that the two of them constantly pick on me. Henry acknowledged this, but said that's just how his mum is. I told him that it's best we cancel the wedding at this point because I want our wedding day to be a happy, memorable occasion, not one filled with drama and stress. I added that his mum is going to ruin this day and that he's just going to accept it as usual, which I can't tolerate. I told him I won't marry him until he sets some boundaries with his mother. This situation is ridiculous. Henry went on about how he can't cut his mum out of his life because she sacrificed so much raising him and his brother as a single mum, but he admitted he doesn't know how to handle her either. I told him I can't make that decision for him, but I'm going no contact with his mum. I suggested that maybe therapy could help him realize how abusive and toxic his relationship with his family is and help him decide what to do with his life. I also said I won't attend any more gatherings. He went quiet for a while. Then he called his mum on speakerphone to tell her that the wedding was cancelled. She went on, saying he finally did the right thing by dumping that whiny B-word, calling me insecure and controlling, and saying it was a miserable relationship. Henry kept interrupting her, saying, "Mum, stop," but she didn't care. In the end, he told her, "Mum, we're not breaking up. She's here and heard everything. She cancelled it, not me, because you kept disrespecting her." His mum screamed, "That manipulative little bee set me up," and started ranting again. Henry then told her that he needs some time to think, and it's best if she gives him some space, then hung up. We've barely talked since. He's spending today helping his brother with some renovations, and I'm home alone. Hopefully, my next update will be less depressing. Wow, what an absolute piece of work that mother-in-law is. Well, not mother-in-law now, thank God. Let's go to some comments. I'm glad you stood your ground. This is no way to begin a marriage. You're already miserable, so just imagine how much worse things would have gotten if you proceeded with the wedding. Anyway, I truly do hope Henry seeks therapy. It's clear that he has a lot to unpack, and you're not the person to do that for him. I commend you for recognizing that and expressing it to him. I wish you both the best. Opie replies, I don't want to make him go no contact with her. If I make the decision for him, he'll resent me. Hopefully he comes up with a solution, or we have to go separate ways. Sigh. Why does everyone jump to no contact? He could just grow a spine and try to train his mum to have some boundaries. It might be a bit painful for him, but he does not have to be no contact, just less contact on his and your terms. A commenter replies, not after she called the future mother of his children a manipulative little B-word. Opie replies, she's called me worse when she was drunk. She calls me little girl, midget, rebound girl. You have the body of a 2-year-old boy while calls his ex the whole package, gorgeous, the one that got away for Henry. He always tells me to let it go. She is like this when she drinks. Please just ignore her. And on to another update. It's 6 a.m. and I've been crying all night. Sorry for any typos. He broke up with me. He ignored all my texts yesterday, and it was late when I finally texted his brother to ask if he was okay. His brother said, yeah, he left the house 2 hours ago to give his ex a ride and then come home. I asked his ex was there, but he didn't reply. When he finally came home, he told me to sit down because we needed to talk. He said, I've thought about our situation, and I think we should end it. He said today, I hung out with my family and even his mum and ex came over. They all told me that by me going no contact with his mum, it was going to be so awkward and that they'd be stuck in the middle. He said, when you weren't there today, I enjoyed my time with my family. There was no tension and I didn't have to worry about you being upset. I asked him, why did it take you 2 hours to drop off your ex? Did you sleep with her? He told me I was being ridiculous and that he was just talking to her. He accused me of being controlling and insecure and said I'm isolating him from his friends and family. I asked him again, so nothing happened? He danced around it, but eventually admitted, we fooled around, but that's it. I told him I couldn't believe what a pathetic, weak man he is, letting his mum convince him to ruin everything, and next he's getting a blowjob from his cheating ex. We ended up arguing and he went to sleep. I cried all night. Today I'm going to call my dad and ask if I can stay with him. Yep, another day on Reddit and more horrible people to read about. God, this just makes you so frustrated. Let's read some final comments. I hope you're packed and gone before he wakes up, then block him. Opie says, he's left again without saying a word. My dad and stepmom are coming over soon to help me. Good. I hope he stays gone so you can pack up in peace. I pray you go no contact with him and his entire toxic family. I'm hoping for an update when you're living your best life in your new city with your super supportive friends and hot as hell new man. Opie replies, yes, his last word last night was, I want you out of my house soon. I'm glad he left so it'll be easy for him to avoid my dad. I don't even care where he left. I'll send him e-transfer for August rent and expenses which was due yesterday and will block him forever. Yeah, wise choice. I guess the silver lining here is that they did all this stuff before the wedding. Can you imagine if she just went through it? God, you'd be miserable. Anyway, give me your thoughts about this one down below and we'll move on again. Okay, same subreddit. This one was written by user Obligation Serious and it's titled, would I be the a-hole for calling off my engagement after my fiance basically said I'm not exciting? I, 29 male, know this may sound like a huge overreaction on my part, but my head has been ringing ever since this happened. I've been engaged to my fiance, 28, for a few months now. We had dated for just shy of 2 years prior to that. It would be cliché to say everything was going great, but for the most part it was good. My family really took a liking to her, which was also really great. Now, I've never been one to think too much about how I'm viewed as a partner, but all of that changed recently. I basically overheard her on the phone, telling her friend that if she wants to find the one, excitement isn't important. She basically said, OP isn't exciting, but he makes me feel safe, and that's when I realised I wanted to settle down with him. This hit me kinda hard, Reddit. I've read these types of posts before. You know, the whole she goes for bad boys then settles with a safe schmuck type of thing. But I don't think that's what she meant. So the day after, I just straight up told her that I overheard her talking about me and that I don't understand what she meant by not finding me exciting. She then told me that it's true, that she doesn't find me exciting, but that doesn't matter. I honestly felt very hurt. Maybe my ego is fragile. I don't know, but it was a surprise to me because I felt like the way I see myself in my head was colliding with how she sees me, and it made me feel spaced out. I asked her what she means by not finding me exciting, and she didn't seem to know how to even answer. She could see I was upset, and as pathetic as this sounds, I made an excuse to leave and said we'll talk about it later. Ever since then, my head has been spinning. I ride motorcycles, I have tattoos, I go to the gym, I do MMA as a hobby, so how is it that I'm not the exciting guy? I've always seen myself as being that exciting guy. My ex was basically obsessed with me and constantly made it clear she found me exciting. But my now fiance doesn't see me as exciting for whatever reason. I was honestly shocked because I felt my sense of self kinda crumble, and what made it worse is I am excited by her. When I see her, I want to rip her clothes off. I want to do things. I think about her. But she seemingly doesn't see me the same way at all. As crazy as this sounds, I've considered calling off the engagement entirely. Am I being crazy here? Yeah, that's tricky. Like, I totally understand his concern, but I can also see where she's coming from as well. Maybe it's just a miscommunication, but, you know, it'd be worth talking about it, that's for sure. Let's go to some comments. I think I get her and get your take too, and it can just be some definitions here. Real talk, your sense of being an exciting man is having a motorcycle, some ink, and going to the gym to wrestle. Your idea of being excited is ripping her clothes off. Dude, gonna buy that convertible when you hit 50 or the newest trend, an all-black Jeep with no hardtop? Everything you've posted is honestly rather routine and safe. You wear your insecurities like a light-up name badge in how you describe yourself, by the way, and you don't even see it about yourself. Quote unquote, I do manly things, I am manly and exciting. It's kind of funny to see from an outside perspective, probably not funny for you to hear that though. Exciting guys are the idiots who are unpredictable, truly off the wall, and while fun to be around, aren't anyone to aspire to be or be with. The guys who keep flipping jobs because they go on adventures, who tiptoe the line of illegal for funsies, who can turn the happy hour into a rave. Exciting for sure, and doesn't sound like you, and that's not a bad thing. Being predictable and safe is a good thing. I'd encourage you to stop overthinking here. Opie says, but the thing is, I never saw myself as that safe, stable guy. All my exes described me as exciting and clearly saw me that way. It's the self-image I always had of myself. Now I'm suddenly not that guy. I'm going to have to talk to her more about this, but it really feels like the way I view myself has been shattered. Very hard to describe the feeling. Not the a-hole for feeling hurt, and your partner did you no favours by not answering the question. Spiralling is going to lead to the end of the relationship for certain. I wouldn't call it off just yet. She really needs to explain the whole exciting thing. Some women with crappy relationship pasts think exciting is toxic behaviour, like cheating and disrespect, etc. Maybe she has kinks, who knows. Your view of excitement is probably different. Definitely talk before pulling the plug. She could have said this all wrong, or if it's the worst, you at least knew before you got married, and it's easier to break up than divorce. On to an update. The last few days have been a rollercoaster of emotions. There were a lot of interesting perspectives from both male and female posters. It seems that the female posters said that being seen as safe is a really great compliment, whereas the male posters said I should run for the hills. Certainly an intriguing insight into how men and women see things differently. So I ended up talking to my fiance about what she meant. She seemed really nervous and knew that she had upset me. I have to admit, I was quite nervous too. It's not easy when your sense of self has crumbled. Learning that you aren't seen in the way that you think you are is a very tough feeling. I can't describe it, but it made me feel really fragile in the truest sense of the word. I started by telling her that I was really upset about her comment because frankly, I had always thought I was that exciting guy to her. I told her that in my mind, I was the guy who makes her heart skip a beat, so I had to brace myself and ask again what she meant when she said I wasn't exciting. She looked like she wanted to cry because I guess she could sense I was also upset. She said that she didn't want to hurt my feelings, but that I make her feel very safe and secure, and that with me, I'm not exciting in the sense that I don't give her thrills like her exes used to. Man, that hurt, but I was still confused. She was being really vague and not really clear in what she meant. I had to ask again what she meant by thrills, and she just began crying and apologizing. She tried to hug me, but I again walked out. I seem to do this when things get emotional. So I decided to take some shrooms and spend the day outside at a nearby lake. This helped me clear my mind and come to some devastating realizations about myself. I think what I realized was that I was lying to myself. Another commenter said it, which I didn't want to admit, which is I'm more into her than she is into me. I didn't disclose this on my first thread, but she never initiates sex. I don't think she's done that once. With my exes, they always initiated with me. You see, my fiancée is beautiful, to the point where I wonder how I landed her. But you see, that was the issue. Because I was so attracted to her, I wanted her approval. I know that sounds pathetic, but I was able to overlook red flags, such as her lack of initiating sex. I thought if I stayed with her, she'd like me the way I like her. Now here's the kicker. I thought that if I proposed to her, then over time I could win her over. I've been with women who were madly into me, and my fiancée just didn't behave like them at all. In addition to never initiating, she never complimented me much. It was always one-sided. A lot of this begs to question, why would she even be with me? I think that she saw me as someone who could provide stability, And I guess maybe she thought my exterior, tattoos, motorcycles, MMA, craft beer, was a facade. I mean, maybe she was kinda right. Not that I don't enjoy those things, I do, but I'm able to have that lifestyle because my parents are wealthy doctors. Maybe she thought I was cosplaying as a bad boy, and that in actuality, I'm a loaded rich kid who provides stability. The other insight I had was that, truth be told, I didn't want to actually get married. I definitely do one day, but I didn't really think it through. I thought to myself that if I propose, I'll grow accustomed to the idea of getting married, but the truth is, I kinda want to continue my lifestyle as it is, which involves riding my motorcycle, fixing muscle cars, travelling across the country, going to festivals, etc. Do I want to get married one day? Of course. But I want to be with a woman who is really crazy about me, someone who compliments me a lot, initiates sex, etc. So I ended up talking with her later on and telling her that I want to call things off and end things. I won't bore with details, but yes, she cried a lot, even got angry, said I wasted her time. I told her that it wasn't anything she did, but she didn't buy that and kept pressing. She told me that I misunderstood her comment, but I told her she couldn't even clarify what she thought. It ended with me telling her that I have nothing against her, but that I'm just not ready for marriage. I told her that the lifestyle I want to continue, in addition to me not feeling the connection I thought I had with her, was why. It ended quite predictably, but I think going forward I'm going to see a therapist to sort my insecurities, as well as find someone more compatible with myself. And one comment says, "She still didn't answer what the exes did that was so thrilling. I said it in your first post, and I'll say it again. Some people think of toxicity as a thrill, and I have a feeling that's what it is. At least you attempted to get an answer, and sorry it wasn't the one you deserved to hear. Feeling loved and safe is an important feeling, and it's what set my partner apart from me. Definitely didn't make him boring. Please don't change yourself on account of her crappy mindset. I laughed when she said you wasted her time. The lady doth project too much." Okay guys, and that's the end of that story. It's kind of funny that the harsh realities came to light when he took some shrooms and went out into nature. Whatever works, I suppose. Anyway, give me your thoughts about that one down below, and we'll move on again. Okay, we're over on relationships. This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, "I, 17 female, have celiac disease. My new friend group thinks I'm anorexic and plan on having an intervention." A little background. My parents divorced when I was very young. My mum got me for most of the year, and my dad got me for the summer. I hated going to my dad's house, partially because he was very stubborn and rude and always had to do things his way, but also because every time I went to my dad's house, I got violently sick. Nausea, rashes, pain, muscle cramps, and then when I got older, I'd start missing my periods. I went to my doctor, but he said it was a psychosomatic problem related to stress and directed me to see a therapist. My dad didn't let me see a therapist because he thought it was total crap. My mum took me to one a few times, but by then my symptoms had cleared up, so we couldn't tell if it helped at all. One thing that really ticked me off was that my dad ate a lot of junk food and drank soda instead of water, and he mocked me mercilessly if I tried to eat healthy. I think it reminded him of my mum, because she's always been a bit of a health nut. I would sneak carrots into the house, and if he found them, he'd throw them out. At my mum's house, I'd eat vegetables and organic chicken. Sometimes a food would make me feel sick, but I'd just stop eating that food and it was fine. I got into the habit of turning down any food offered to me because I didn't know if it was safe. I just explained it away as being a picky eater. And then, when I was 16, a new girl moved to my school. I became friends with her, and after a couple of months I noticed that she avoided all the same foods as me. I mentioned it in passing like, "Hey, isn't that weird?" And she got concerned and told me that she had celiac disease and I should get myself checked. I got checked and sure enough, I had it. Everything suddenly made sense. I was so excited to finally understand what was wrong that I told everybody I knew. I told all of the people who I thought were my friends, and they didn't really react well. They acted fine at first, but I noticed that they were all doing the slow fade on me. I confronted my closest friend about it, and she said they all thought I was faking it for attention. They'd only heard about gluten-free diets as a stupid fad. I broke down crying and told her all about how horrible I felt when I had to go to my dad's house and how I couldn't believe that she didn't believe me, and she was horrified. She turned around and became my biggest supporter. She talked to the others, but they still thought I was full of crap and feeding her lies, so we decided it was best to break it off with them. My birthday is in August, so I had 2 more summers with my dad left to go through after I found out. He took the revelation about my disease even worse than my ex-friends. He would scream that I thought I was better than him and I was making up medical problems because I wanted to be special, and that he wouldn't put up with that crap. I offered to take him with me to the doctor, but he said that doctors are scam artists and he didn't believe anything they said. It was horrible. It got to the point where he started sabotaging my food and cursing at me when I got sick. So I've gotten pretty wary about telling other people about the disease. Between my personal experiences and hearing people make fun of gluten-free food on the TV and internet, I've decided I'm not comfortable with telling new people. I know that's cowardly, but I'm so afraid of what people will think of me. This is my last summer with my dad, and it's the last summer with my dad. He can rot in hell for all I care. He treats me like crap. I've only got to tough it out for another few weeks, and that's not my problem. I can already hear your advice about leaving my dad's house or calling CPS, and respectfully, I've made my decision that it's easier to just stay for the next 3 weeks and then leave forever. Please don't focus on that part. This is the problem I need help with. My best friend and I have made a new group of friends. They're great people, really fun. We play role-playing games every weekend. We've been hanging out since May. There's 10 or 11 of them depending on whether you count this guy who doesn't regularly attend games. My best friend approached me yesterday and told me that the rest of the group has been talking behind my back. They've put together the fact that I constantly turn down food and that I'm very picky about what I eat and that I've been getting thinner and acting sick because I've been living with my dad, and came to the conclusion that I have anorexia. They're planning on staging an intervention for me next weekend. Guys, I don't know what to do. This is such an awkward situation. I know I should tell them, but I'm so scared they're going to reject me. They've already got this idea in their heads about what's wrong. At this point, I'm afraid they'll think I'm just making excuses, and I've been burned before. I lost a ton of friends by telling them about my disease. Yeah, they were dicks, but it frickin' hurt. How do I do this? How do I explain it so they'll believe me? I can't handle any more people calling me a liar. I'll have a mental breakdown. This disease has ruined my life in so many ways. I just wanted to have this one part of my life separate from that. Please, Reddit, give me advice. I think the fact that this friend group actually cares about you in the first place means they're probably going to listen to you about celiac disease. And hopefully, fingers crossed, they're not as stupid as everyone else she's told about gluten intolerance. I mean, it's a pretty common thing. Let's go to some comments. Can't your friend just say, yeah, she's a celiac, got diagnosed a few years ago, but her dad's a dick about sticking to the diet? If your friend were casual about it, or you were, this would not be an issue. In the absence of facts, people will use the evidence they have and draw a conclusion. Give them enough facts to draw the conclusion you want. Next time you're out, maybe mention casually going for your checkup before visiting Dad, and making an effort to eat the things you can or bring food you can with you. Not everyone will be a dick about it. Hey, fellow celiac sufferer here. I got diagnosed around the same age as you. I dealt with a lot of the same issues. People not believing me or thinking it was all in my head. Even my best friend didn't believe me until I got my diagnosis. My own doctor had a talk with me about eating disorders, and this was right after I told her I was losing weight due to all of these crazy symptoms. Luckily, I saw another doctor who knew what it was right away. I understand the fear you have telling people about the disease. Like you said, it's especially hard with the fad diet now. The next time they bring up your supposed anorexia around your friends, give her the all clear to tell them you have celiac, or try to bring it up yourself before the intervention. The fact that they noticed you not eating and are concerned enough to stage an intervention, as misguided as that is, makes me hope that they care about you. Give them a simplified explanation of the disease if you can. This is what I say when people ask me why I'm not eating. Quote, oh yeah, I have celiac disease. It's an autoimmune disorder that damages my whole body if I eat anything with wheat. I usually avoid the word gluten when I'm first explaining celiac and tell people I can't eat wheat, barley, etc. If they press for more details, don't be afraid to share. Most people have heard about the disease by now, and even the most difficult non-believers shut up when I tell them my symptoms and explain the long-term effects. I've also explained my diagnosis with the endoscopies, blood tests, etc. I think people are more receptive when you explain all of the testing and doctor's visits you go through to get diagnosed. If you're not able to talk with them before the intervention, it's okay. Just take a deep breath and tell them the truth. Your concerns about telling them are valid, and I understand why you haven't told them before. I'm sorry I can't give you much more advice at the moment. PM me if you ever need to talk or rant about it. You probably just have to own it. Don't be insecure about it. If you are, they're going to think you're lying. I guess if they're planning an intervention for you, they're probably not dicks. Sounds like you've been putting off that vibe and they care about you. A good problem to have. Own it and write out the stuff at home. Yeah, some great advice in the comments there. Okay guys, on to an update. Hey guys, thanks for all your help. The intervention was yesterday and I figured you guys would want to know how everything went. TLDR, it went well. A few hours before game started, one of my friends, let's call him Zach, texted me asking to come to his house, he hosts the games, early because he wanted to discuss gaming terms that will be nonsense to most of you. I figured this was probably the intervention and texted my best friend. I think there was some confusion in the last post. This is the friend who was with my other friend group who I poured my heart out to, then she followed me to the new group, let's call her Laura, to ask if she'd been invited too. She hadn't, so I asked her to come with me. Before I went to his house, I did something a little cheeky, inspired by one of the comments on the last post. Thank you. I went and picked up some gluten-free Chinese food from a place I frequent. They have this amazing vegetable fried rice that I've fallen in love with. They're really careful about cross-contamination. I've been eating there for years and never gotten sick. I brought the food with me to Zach's house, along with Laura and my notebooks and dice for role-playing. Zach seemed really taken aback that Laura was there. I asked him if he had a problem with it, because if we were going to talk about complicated gaming things, then she should be a part of the conversation because of qualifications. I'm really sorry, I'm trying not to drop a crap ton of gaming jargon on you all. He awkwardly said that it was fine. Then I said something like, "Is it alright if I eat something while we do this? I missed lunch and I'm really hungry," and pulled out the Chinese food. He said it was fine, but seemed kind of alarmed, like I was freaking him out. I started eating and he started his pitch. OP, I didn't actually call you here to talk about game crap. Me and some of the others have noticed some things recently that we're concerned about and they elected me to talk to you about it. I said, okay. He listed off a bunch of things that I've been doing that made them worry about me. The way they never saw me eat anything, that I always seemed sick and was getting thinner, the fact that I always seemed uncomfortable and nervous when the topic of food came up, that I turned down everything offered to me, and then he finally dropped the bombshell. OP, Michael's older sister is anorexic and she acts a lot like you do. We think you might be anorexic. I swallowed my food and tried not to look nervous. I'm not, I told him. He started talking about how nobody thinks they're anorexic, but there's clearly something going on with me, and he started just rambling, so I cut him off. I do have a problem. It's not anorexia. Can I talk? He reluctantly agreed. I think he was afraid I was going to say that I was too fat, and my problem was that I needed to lose weight or something. Like he got really committed to the idea that I was anorexic. I'm going to try and paraphrase what I said here because I was very proud of myself for it. Quote, I know I'm losing weight in an unhealthy way, but it's not on purpose. I have a disease that means I can't eat grains like wheat, barley, and rye. When I do, I get very sick, and my body starts ripping up my stomach and I can't digest much of anything, even things that don't have those grains in them. It's not just an allergy, it does serious long-term damage to me. If I ate a piece of bread, I would break out in rashes, I'd start throwing up, and I might get stuff that seems unrelated, like horrible muscle cramps. When I turn down food, it's because you guys offer me stuff like Doritos and PB&Js. If I ate that stuff, it would make me violently ill. I turn it down to keep from making my health problems even worse. And the reason my symptoms have been popping up and I've been getting sick and losing weight is that right now I'm living in a family situation where I'm forced to eat the foods that my body reacts badly to. When I first met you guys, I was living with my mum, and she accommodated me really well. But right now I'm living with my dad, and he sabotages my food because he thinks I'm making my disease up and that my doctor is a fraud. Zach took out actual note cards and looked through them. He literally had a script for the intervention. That's what I get for hanging out with the kind of dramatic people who play tabletop RPGs, I guess. He was quiet for a really long time. Then he had a few questions. 1. But then why did you turn down, Coke? Because Coke is nasty, but I didn't want to complain and make you guys buy root beer just for me. 2. Why didn't you just tell us this stuff? Laura took this one and explained what happened with our last friend group. 3. Okay, so what would I probably have in the house right now that you'd be willing to eat in front of me? I wanted to facepalm at this one. I asked if he was serious. He was. I don't know, have you got celery? He shook his head. Yogurt? Nope. An apple? Nope. Seriously? He nodded. Have you got some frickin' popcorn, like air-popped popcorn? That he did have, so I ate some popcorn in front of him, and he finally seemed to accept what I was saying. He awkwardly changed the subject to gaming things, and we talked about that until the rest of the group started to show up. When Michael got there, Zach took him aside and started talking to him in a way that I guess they thought was subtle. They kept looking over at me, and they weren't keeping their voices down very well. Michael asked if I seemed defensive, and Zach shrugged and said not really. I pointedly ate popcorn for the rest of the game. Michael texted me after the game and apologized for assuming that I was anorexic, and asked what snacks they could put out for me. I actually cried a little bit. I was worried about getting kicked out, but they immediately moved to accommodating me. They're nice people. So everything worked out fine. Sorry for the anticlimax. Great ending. Took a little bit of convincing there, but I'm glad they got there in the end. Just baffles me how gluten intolerance was such a hard thing for people to grasp in Opie's life here. Maybe it's just me, but it's such a common thing around the people I know. What about you guys? Let me know down below. Alrighty, let's move on again. Okay, quickly back over on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by a now deleted account, and it's titled, My ex contacted me after years, and now my boyfriend is upset that I kept in touch. Am I in the wrong? Hey everyone, I need your advice on a situation that happened to me last week. For some context, I was in a relationship with my ex for a year, but we broke up 7 years ago. I'm female 27, my current boyfriend is 32, and my ex is also 27. Last week, out of the blue, my ex DM'd me just to check in, see how I was doing and how life was treating me. Naturally, I told my boyfriend right away, and he said it was okay that my ex had reached out. From there, my ex and I continued messaging throughout the week. Eventually, we even planned to meet up on Saturday. However, I forgot to mention this to my boyfriend right away. When I realized, I told him that I might see my ex and asked how he felt about it. He said it was fine and that I could go. So I met up with my ex on Saturday. Honestly, we had a really pleasant, positive time. We caught up on our lives, talked about our families, friends and everything, but nothing more. I want to emphasize that there was absolutely nothing romantic or inappropriate on either side. It was very friendly, and I made sure to be respectful of my boyfriend throughout. We even agreed to stay in touch if needed, but strictly in a respectful, platonic way. When I got home, my boyfriend asked how it went, and I told him everything, but he reacted very negatively. He asked to see my phone, went through my entire conversation with my ex, and when he didn't find anything compromising, he seemed even more frustrated. We ended up having a huge argument, and now he's saying he doesn't trust me anymore, that I'm hiding things, that I'm being dishonest, and so on. I'm really confused. I feel like I did everything by the book, being honest and respectful, but my boyfriend's reaction has me questioning myself. Was I wrong to meet up with my ex? Should I have handled this differently? I'd really appreciate your thoughts and advice. Let's check the comments. I can't imagine anyone doing backflips of joy when their partner is texting and meeting up with their ex. I'm sure he was very hurt and concerned. If the shoe was on the other foot, would you be happy if he was meeting up with his old girlfriends? If you think your boyfriend is dumb enough to believe your ex wants to hover in your friend zone, I have a bridge, formerly owned by the city of New York, to sell to one of you. You forgot to tell him you were going out with your ex, then you told him you might see your ex. You're gaming us as badly as you played your boyfriend. Why the frick do people do this? What honestly does one stand to gain by catching up with an ex they haven't spoken to in years? I'd be ticked too. You privately communicated with the person you previously slept with and then went on a date with him. I made sure to be respectful to my BF throughout. Lol lol lol. I would have probably had your crap packed for you by the time you got home, to be honest. There's no reason to be friends with your ex. If it was worth maintaining, you'd have spoken at any point in the last 7 frickin' years, so yeah, I wouldn't believe you either. Yeah, a bit of a grilling in the comments. On to an update. Hi everyone, a big thank you to those who were constructive in their responses, and to the others, well, it seems like some of you might be feeling a bit lonely. For those who wanted an update or more info, here's the follow-up. To clarify, my boyfriend is on good terms with all his exes and talks to them from time to time, which doesn't bother me at all. For those wondering how I'd react if the roles were reversed, I want to say that I have no issues with self-confidence or trust in our relationship, so I trust him 100%. My ex and I haven't spoken since. As for my boyfriend and me, yes, we are still together. We had a thorough discussion. We talked about both his perspective and mine, and it turns out what bothered him the most was that I didn't share more details about the messages exchanged during the week. That being said, he had no problem with me going to see my ex. I even showed him the post and your comments, and he found your reactions quite intense. He also believes it's important to remember that communication is key in a relationship, and that nobody is perfect. You have to work together to make it work. But don't worry, everything is great between us. We're happy and still very much in love, so it's a story with a happy ending. Okay folks, so we're going to leave that one there. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Anyway, that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.